Welcome, good morning. God, it's a good crowd today. Thank you for queuing, thank you for coming. For those who I've not met, I'm Mark. There are some familiar faces in the audience. It's great to see people again, as back here at Playtime London. And it's great to see a packed house with so many of you here today. What's in today? A lot of what you just saw on the agenda is about you guys learning what we've been up to, learning about what we're coming up with. But I just want to re-echo what Shannon said there. Is like we'd like you to be telling us what more you'd like to see and what you'd like to see happening. So you're going to hear this thing, feedback. We love feedback in Google. So we'd love you guys to take that on board as well and give us feedback. That doesn't include you, Rob. I don't need your feedback today. I get enough of that all the time. But it's also, we'd like to think you'll have a bit of fun with your peers, with your colleagues, intermingle, spend some time together, and with, obviously, your Google business partners. And what I've been asked to do, apart from act as a little bit of a warm-up act before the main event starts, Ellie follows after the break. That's when you get all the juicy details of Android N, of material design, of Studio, Firebase. Is really to talk a little bit about what's next for Google Play, and what we're doing, and the things that we think will happen that will touch your world and change some of the things you're building over the next few years. So let's start with you guys, our developers. It's your magic, it's your innovation, it's your creativity that brings these supercomputers, a few fingers pointing, maybe we've got a couple of your apps up on the screen, but brings these computers in our pockets to life. And as Shannon said, from UK to Estonia, it's great to have so many people here, from Age of Lords, Alex, this is staring me out, to The Economist, to British Airways, to Candy Crush, such a diverse collection of apps and games developers here. And like I said, the real future of what Play is what you guys build and what you guys demand from us. So we'd love to hear more about your imagination, your stories, and your ideas, and how your apps are impacting millions of people. And the team thought it would be kind of fun for me to give a snapshot of my life and how apps affect my life. So I'd start with my kids, seeing as my biggest challenge in my house is getting my 10-year-old boy and my 8-year-old daughter off tablets and smartphones. They seem to be getting more and more addicted to them, so I don't know whether I'm a great parent or a bad parent. I'll let you guess. I asked both my kids to pick their favorite apps. Obviously, my son is a big fan of everything that comes out of our friends at Supercell, whether it's Boom Beach, Clash Royale, his latest, and he still spends a huge amount of time with Clash of Clans. My daughter's really got into Color Switch, which, if those of you have played it, is like right up there with one of the, obviously it drives me crazy, but her and her friends absolutely adore this game. But I could have listed Crossy Road, Agar.io, Subway Surfer is another big one in our household. And the other thing that they seem to spend a huge amount of time is video consumption. Those of you who are into Minecraft, my son doesn't really play Minecraft on the Xbox anymore. I just have the echoes of Stampy, going around my house in his kind of high-pitched squeal of a voice. But they're on iPlayer now. Disney Life is out there, and obviously Sky Go for a football-mad family. And they really do dominate our life. And I think, as many as you know, kids are probably the biggest users of a lot of products and a lot of games that are on these devices. But also apps and utilities. This is an example that actually my wife and I started using House an awful lot. It's a fantastic app. We're about to start doing some renovation work on our house, and we're a big fan of this utility app. It really helps you find an image of an idea, share it, and pin it into a scrapbook. And it's just a number of apps that really change the way you think. I mean, some of the great stuff in here is now they start tagging items in the images. You can actually obviously go on and look at what is that sofa, what is that lamp, and leads you through to the e-commerce site to buy it. And a feature I've not actually used on this is an augmented reality feature where you can literally pick that sofa up and drop it in situ to find out if it's going to really look great in your future lounge. But there's 100 of different apps that are changing the way people act and how people behave using their phones. I personally can't imagine ever printing a boarding pass again, or in a major city phoning for a taxi when I've got Lyft or Get Taxi or Uber. And the great thing is that millions of Android users have not discovered how much these apps can change their lives. So there's so much more growth ahead of us. This was supposed to be kind of fun. I realized seeing this on the big screen in rehearsal this morning, it's kind of scary. This is me taking a picture, clowning around on an app called Masquerade. I'm sure a lot of you guys have used this. This has been a great example in my house of just bringing fun, bringing the magic back into apps. If you've not done, has everyone done the face swapping? Yeah, some people haven't. Do it, it's great, it's really fun. So at a dinner party, do the face swapping, and you just see the magic in people, especially if they're not that familiar with what you can do on a phone. And it's just hilarious. Obviously video it, post it on social media, and scare the hell out of everybody. But these kind of experiences just bring so much fun into what we do and what we put in people's lives. Yeah, sorry about the scary clowning around picture. And these guys probably need a mention because it seems to be on everyone's lips at the moment. I mean, the great thing about what Niantic and what they've done with Pokemon Go, for me, I mean, it's obviously brought a lot of people into gaming. It's brought a huge amount of people purchasing for the first time in Play, which is obviously fantastic for all of us to add new paying users. But the big thing, I think, is the two potential impacts of this game is it's really brought augmented reality into the mass market. It's taken it out of hyperbole, and this is no disrespect to the hundreds of apps developers that have been working really hard on AR, but it's now made this a mass market thing around a format of obviously spending time walking around. But the other thing that I think is really interesting about this is it's hopefully going to wake up more AAA developers, more of that IP that's been previously just locked in console and PC, to a lot of your guys' benefit, but bring these guys more into mobile. And we've seen that in Nintendo, Square Enix, EA. They've been early adopters of mobile, but a lot of those big IP and AAA developers have actually not done as much in terms of bringing their content onto mobile. Hopefully we'll see a lot more of that on the back of the success of Pokemon Go. But that's just my story. That's just a small slice of my story. As you guys know, the beauty of what you do is that there's apps and games for everyone. There's over a staggering 1 million apps on the Play Store now. So it's really huge in terms of the breadth and the depth. And the message, just to finish this bit, is that it's what you guys do. That's what drives us. And we love the passion that you have, the creativity you have, and the imagination that drives us on. And very much what's next for Google Play is what you guys imagine and create. So let's cover a little bit of what we do to help you guys. Some of you guys know this well. If you don't know this, our mission is really to help you guys succeed and grow global businesses. Every Googler that's here today with a blue tag on is here to help you. I'm not going to stress the feedback thing again, but they want to make your business bigger. And you're going to hear a lot on both the apps and the game sections today about how you can be more successful on Play. The biggest thing is the platform that we've created. Play and Android is now the largest app distribution platform in the world. And I'll talk in the next few slides around some of the numbers that make up Android and Play and why we're so proud of the success and scale that we have. The second one is we provide tools to improve your performance, whether it's through deeper analytics, A/B testing, beta release programs. You're going to hear a lot more about this today from the speakers in the following sessions and the breakout sessions. And as Ellie's going to talk about the new features you're going to see in Android N, in Android Studio, in Firebase, and in Material Design, there's a lot of stuff here for you to pick up today. So try and soak up as much as you can, and try and stay off the Wi-Fi. Try not to get distracted, and try and learn, and give us feedback on what you say. And finally, as a partner, and a lot of what we do, and you'll see sessions today, is about supporting verticals, supporting groups of you as our developers, whether it's publishing, whether it's indie games, whether it's the media sector, whether it's families, and Shadi's got a session later on today, again on families, is helping these categories succeed within Play and creating quite unique experiences to bring the best out of the content you have in those categories. And that partnership, again, is critical. We want that feedback. Tell us what more things we could be doing, whether it's a reaction to a first impression of something you've seen today, or a deep bugbear that's been ticking away in your engineering team for a long while. Please come to us, tell us what you think, and help us be a better partner for you. So let's talk about distribution. The good news is Android continues to grow at a staggering rate. The biggest smartphone platform in the world, with over 1.4 billion monthly users, and that's growing every week as more and more people get connected and get a smartphone for the first time. As that technology gets cheaper, as it gets more accessible, we're going to see more and more people come. I was reading the Horowitz blog yesterday, and they said that by 2020, 80% of the world's adult population will have an internet-connected smartphone. Now, forecasts are forecasts, but the basic trend and momentum is that the majority of this planet's population are going to have access to the internet and going to have access to very cheap, affordable computing. And the great news for us is the vast proportion of those users are going to be on Android. So that 1.5 million a day new Android devices is only going to accelerate and only going to give you a bigger audience to build and take your products to. And also the ecosystem is getting bigger. We're not going to talk a lot about the expansion of the ecosystem today, but we have a fantastic team working hard to add more OEMs into that ecosystem and to bring more carriers on board. And we now have over 500 carriers working with Android and working with Play, and 400 OEMs developing for Android. And as this ecosystem expands, it's great news for Play. The result is more Android users are coming into the Play Store. They're finding apps, they're downloading apps, and more of them are spending. We now have over 1 billion monthly users who have downloaded a staggering 65 billion apps just in last year alone. So the engagement is huge. And our work really has gone into enabling more of these customers to actually spend money on Play. We do a lot of work adding local forms of payment, finding ways for consumers, particularly in emerging markets, to make that first purchase, to educate them on why they can actually have a better experience if they spend, but also to give them access to local forms of payments. One of those most important forms of payments is what we call DCB, that's direct carrier billing, so that's paying through your mobile phone bill. And in emerging markets where gift card penetration is lower or credit cards are not really relevant for a lot of people, DCB is incredibly important. And we now have 100 deals live in over 41 markets. And actually, our 100th deal was a point of quite good contention within our business development teams. The APAC team was saying it was a carrier called Idea in India. The EMEA team were claiming the 100th deal signed was Vodafone in EMEA. Hey, they're great challenges to have. Actually, Vodafone went live first as a deal. But I think they're two great examples. Idea is one of the biggest carriers in India, over 190 million subscribers, a significant proportion on Android, and obviously growing as more and more of those customers adopt smartphones. And Voda, we're all familiar with, is the biggest carrier in EMEA, and actually means that we've got 100% coverage in most of our markets in EMEA now on DCB. So great to have both those deals now on board and have such a strong payment platform with our carrier partners. And the good news is that this is now starting to actually see a meaningful effect, particularly in those emerging markets. Now, we'd expect these growth rates to be huge because we're starting from a low base, but we're seeing absolute downloads, four times the level we're seeing in mature markets. The consumption is huge, driven by an expanding platform as more and more people get smartphones, but it's also demand. People want to be entertained on these devices. It opens up a whole world that they've not been able to experience before. And as I talked about in payments, on the back of that, our job is to actually enable more of these people to spend. And we're seeing a very fast, twice as the pace of spend growth in emerging markets than we're seeing in mature markets, as users make their first payment and then become habitual users in terms of spending what disposable income they have on your products. It's very exciting. So, doing all this, we're doing some work globally to expand the platform. And we're working hard to help you guys find your audience and Play. And we hear this a lot. I mean, you know, we've done work around beta testing and allowing you to do stage-managed rollouts. But we got great feedback from you, not just at Playtime, but through the year, about what we can do to make it easier for you to recruit beta testers. Often, you guys are their friends, their family, they're people who used an app before, but finding complete newbies that could act as a great beta tester has proved to be hard. So we launched a collection called the Early Access Program just over a month ago, just after I.O., with 29 apps to start off with. And we've had over 1 million installs since I.O. And what we did, we basically opened up this collection to those users that had a very high propensity to engage with apps and games early on. So they were just inquisitive, they liked to try things, and we felt this was a really great audience to open up to developers. And the great news is that we're expanding the program outside of the startups and the indies we had to all developers. So if you want to learn more about this, and you want to learn more about this, is that please come to the Launch Smart session today, or talk to your BD manager today, and they can give you more information how you can get into this early access program. And another thing I just wanted to highlight is how you drive acquisition. And for those of you who have a user acquisition budget and marketing budget, app discovery is a critical role in driving your growth and driving your user base. But we wanted to leverage our experience in ads as well within the store. And Search Ads in Play launched over a year ago, and we're seeing significant success with Search Ads in Play. And the developers I see spending on this channel, I consistently get feedback there's great CPIs. This is a really efficient channel, and they're using it as a part of their marketing budget to find both high-quality users and users with intent. And search is a really critical part of that discovery process within the store. You can do search in a couple of ways. You can buy a search campaign that runs across .com and search within the Play. You can't buy a campaign just on Play Search, but you can also purchase within a universal app campaign, which drives acquisition across YouTube, across Google Search and Google.com, and other Google properties as well, including AdMob, so advertising within other apps. Universal app campaigns alone have driven 3 billion app installs. So I implore you guys to try it and to explore it and to give it a go. We're investing heavily in helping you acquire more users. And so you see some more announcements over the coming months about changes we're doing this. And if you'd like to learn more about universal app campaigns, there's a session after lunch. So please try and join that as well. So to summarize the first bit, this is my asks. This is it. This is as bad as it gets. You can take a picture of this slide. These are the basics. These are the things that we want to see all you guys doing. They're pretty straightforward. We continue to repeat the focus on quality. Our ask for you there is quality is king. We create a lot of tools to try and allow you to get your product better and better. Please listen to our feedback. We apply a lot of resource in our teams to try and give you that consulting and that feedback of how you can improve your products. So focus on design, make it easy to use, really invest in quality. If the product's not right, work on it until you've got that right. And the iteration piece follows really fast on the heels of this. We've created many tools to help to do experiments that lead to direct performance improvements. And we've been speaking to top developers about how many they use A/B testing or stage rollouts or store listing experiments. And 70% of top developers say they use this functionality and it absolutely helps them get their product better. 60% of top developers use beta testing. My question is, why are the rest not doing this? If this functionality is really going to help you guys have better product, there's no coding, it's free, it's easy to use, why aren't all your teams using these tools that we build? Please take a chance to learn more about the tools today. Again, there's a session, the Launch Smart session, about how you can use our tools to iterate and get that product right before you spend precious user acquisition budget and find that there's a retention issue that you'd not spotted before. Try search ads, I've just talked about on the previous slide, but next time you sit down with the user acquisition team, go through and ask whether you've spent any money on search within Play or universal app campaigns and see what the performance numbers look like. Developer Console, we'll talk about that later on today. It's a great tool, not just for your engineering teams, but also for your marketeers and the non-engineering folk within your teams. It's a great way for you to find what's going on with your user base, the analytics, what your conversion funnel's looking like. So again, try and use that. And also, we have our Playbook app with a host of articles and information in there. Please try it. And I think I've mentioned the feedback one at the end as well. Okay, that's the asks over. As the temperature rises, Letitia loves to find a venue with glass ceilings. I think Playtime has to be in a kind of warehouse or garage with glass ceilings in London. So apologies to those guys over there that are really under the cosh. And it's like I/O, isn't it? I/O is outdoors and very hot, and we like to replicate that here in Playtime. The last section I want to talk about is briefly about the future and about the future of mobile. And you've seen this picture before. You've probably seen this like 20 times just on the way here today. Face down, touch and swipe. great products, but designed for that form of interaction. People download apps from top charts or search, and we've built an entire ecosystem, a very successful ecosystem about this type of user behavior and about this type of interaction within our store. But we really think that mobile is evolving, and we think it's evolving in a number of different ways that will be a new era for mobile beyond this kind of mobile first and touch and swipe era. And I wanted to talk about 3 areas: beyond the click, beyond the install, and also beyond the phone, and just talk about some of the investments Google are making in these areas that we think will massively change your perspective on what you can do within your products in the near future and in the midterm future as well. So beyond the click, the phone started with a touch screen. You can tap, swipe, revolutionary. Everyone's like, oh God, this changes the whole way I'm using a mobile phone. It'll never be the same. This is the future. I can't believe I couldn't actually touch and interact on a device. It makes things so much better. But new elements of input are now becoming very, very strong and will soon be mass market. Voice is the first one we wanted to highlight. A staggering 40% of Google Android app searches are now using voice. And that's driven by huge advances in natural language processing that's helping us understand the spoken word far better than we've ever done before, to a much higher degree. And Google's actually training its models to ignore background noise, so it's easier to hear what the individual is saying to the phone. And so, I mean, I still amaze people when I do an OK Google with friends and family. I still see, what's going on? It's like, I genuinely think, a bit like with autonomous cars, in 10, 15 years, or maybe 5 years, the rate of speed autonomous driving is going, people look back and say, what, you really drove a car, but didn't like millions of people die? Yeah, driverless cars are much better than, yeah. And I think voice, I mean, people look back and say, well, why were you typing in, why weren't you just speaking to your computers all the time? And devices like Google Home, which was announced at I/O, and there's a few other kind of home speakers that you can interact with a voice, are really going to make that level of interaction in the mainstream. So I think we'll look back and see, typing is a thing of the past, and voice is one of the main inputs for a lot of the app experiences you're building. Gesture is another huge area that's coming. One of my favorite projects, if you saw it at I/O, it's a project called Project Soli, S-O-L-I, that was announced from Google's ATAP team, that's Advanced Technologies and Platforms team. This is really cool. This is just a GIF just showing the gesture control, but have a look at the video from I/O. What it basically uses is shortwave radio frequencies, kind of like radar, to actually have a detailed understanding of how your hand is moving, and then you can start to actually make changes and swipe and interact with your device. And it's already very sophisticated, even though it's in a very early stage of the product. It kind of reminds me of Minority Report. No one gets that. I'm showing my age. Yeah, or maybe Tony Stark from Iron Man for the younger devs here that don't know what Minority Report is. But yeah, that kind of proper interaction and a completely new way of interacting with an app or even with a game. And it won't replace. I think this will complement voice. It will complement touch. But that third dimension of gesture control will bring a new experience to products. I think the solid dev kit for hardware manufacturers doesn't go live till next year. So this one really is, a year or two out. But I mean, you can start to think of great things and applications you could do around this. I just want to get this one in there. I'd love to see an app where I can just play the piano on top of my phone, so if someone could pick that one up. Or does anyone know the Hungry Hippos games? I could just bash it. No. Okay, I'll leave the creativity up to you guys. But there's a great world of ideas that we could actually bring out there with this gesture control in the app. Another one is conversational UI. If you followed I/O, you would have seen the announcement of Allo, which has not been in release yet. But this is bringing bots into Google's new messaging platform. And Allo combines AI with search assistants. And the interesting thing for you guys is how we bring developers, and particularly app developers, into this experience. And this is a huge area for Google, technology for everyone, assistant, bringing AI into more and more of our products. And a big theme for Play in our team was how we can bring you into these experiences, and maybe even bring AI into your businesses as well. So voice, gesture, conversational UI, these are just 3 ways that we think that the interface of how people interact with your products is going to change over the next few years. And now let's look beyond the app and beyond the install as well. A lot of you have built brilliant native experiences, brilliant experiences to mobile. But one thing I think we all agree on is it would be great to bring new users to your products even quicker. And still, there's some hurdles for that install experience, some speed bumps and some access issues that actually just don't exist on the web, and particularly for people on the first time. And the product team in Play were just thinking, wouldn't it be great if you could have that same beautiful experience on the web, just tap and then you're there. And then a few of the guys are here today and started imagining how we could actually bring this to life. And I'm sure many of you saw this announcement at I/O. I'm hoping you have. I'm assuming you have. I'm certainly not going to try and do what Ellie Powers and the team did so well on stage at I/O and talk through this product. But for those who aren't familiar with Instant Apps, please spend a bit of time on this. What it is effectively exactly what it says on the tin. You can run an Android app instantaneously, which makes it much easier for users to discover, to share, and enjoy your products. This example here was an example using B&H, which is a massive camera retailer in the States, who have a great app, but the example is very pertinent because obviously a lot of people don't really search for a camera week in, week out, so a lot of people might not have the B&H app installed on their phone. But as you can see here, someone's gone through a search experience, they've clicked on that search, and what it's done is it's just gone straight into the page within the app that the user's interested in. This demo is, this app is not pre-installed on the device, and then actually within that instant experience, they can then add that product if they want to the basket, pay with Android Pay, and check out without entering any additional information. And a lot of the people we speak to think this kind of experience is incredibly cool. No visit to the Play Store, no accepting permissions, no waiting for a download, no having to type in again the same search results for that camera within that app. You're straight there, you're able to purchase. It's a fantastic experience. And really what it means, it's a much faster, it's a much more seamless experience. And getting that deep link right into the right page of the app. What the team have done is they've broken the apps into separate modules, so make it a lot lighter for those modules actually to be consumed and installed on the product. And then that instant flow of the app is optimized for the device. And there's a lot of work going to make this backwards compatible, a long way backwards compatible, to reduce that friction and allow instant apps on a lot of previous versions of Android. And another element of this, and this is again another demo that we've just lifted out of I/O, is really around, and it's around a BuzzFeed video, is about how to make content that exists in your app really accessible. Again, the web is very easy. I can share a link. Someone's on the web page. It's great. But often that's very hard to do within the app. That changes with instant apps because, as you can see here, someone shared a link to a cooking video on BuzzFeed. On an SMS with a tap that opens instantly within the BuzzFeed app, which, remember, is not pre-installed on the user's device. And then they can access that content. So this opens up a whole new set of opportunities for you guys to really compete with like a web presence. You don't need to have a web presence. Try new marketing techniques, try new ways to get people and customers to engage with your products. And then if people want to keep the app on their device, you can prompt them to install and they can keep it fixed in. And this is a real-world example. I don't have Ficus here to present with a pay meter like they had at I/O, but this is a real-world example that has bugged me multiple times. You turn up at a car park. I think the last time I had it was a snow dome in Milton Keynes. Kids desperate to get in there, and I've got a choice: phone a premium rate number or download an app. And clearly, it's a horrendous experience. If you could just literally rock up to that sign in the car park, tap on the meter, NFC could instantly launch an instant app on your device. You could instantly pay. It's really seamless. It's really easy. It's really simple. It's just cool. And I think this is a real world problem. Well, first world, real world problem. But a real world problem for a few of us anyhow. I'm sure a lot of you are excited about it. A few of our product leads are here. Michael Slisky, Jonathan Carmel. Don't know where they are. They're hiding at the back over there. There's a hand up there. If you guys don't know, just aggressively pursue them around the event today. they've got a lot of meetings booked in, but if you can't get hold of them, speak to your Android BD manager. They will make sure that you get connected about this. We are in a very small early access program. The momentum on this project is huge. They're moving at a really great pace. So please learn more about it. It could be a really huge paradigm shift in terms of the app consumption model, and crucially really help you reduce that friction of how people consume your app. Right, and then finally, beyond the phone. How am I doing? I've got 5 minutes. It's great, because it's all about virtual reality next, so I can make that one up. The ecosystem is expanding from wearables to car to TV. There's still a huge amount of investment going into taking that Android ecosystem to more devices. For those of you that are building experience that are consumed on different form factors, there's a lot more coming. I talked about that ecosystem of 400 OEMs working on Android, which is getting bigger and bigger all the time. We also wanted to announce, and you might have seen this, I/O Play Store is also on Chromebooks. Chromebooks have been hugely successful, particularly in North America. IDC just announced that in 2016, for Q2 2016, Chromebooks are the #1 spot in the US, outshining Macs. And the great news is now the Play Store is available on these devices, so you'll be able to offer your Android apps to millions of users on Chromebooks as well, without any additional work, without sacrificing any performance. So it's a kind of nice one, isn't it? It's, you know, the world has changed, and rather than web to mobile, now we're going mobile straight back to laptops, the other way around. So we think that's fantastic, and again, opens up exposure for you. And then finally, I just want to touch on VR, because everyone's talking about it, and clearly it's a big part of our future and our future on mobile. AR, it's now kind of getting to be a truly immersive, comfortable, and affordable experience. This is about the future. Unfortunately, we don't have anything on AR to show you today. There's no Daydream demo in the breakout session, I'm afraid. I have personally done it quite a few times. It is awesome. It's not going to make you feel any better because you haven't necessarily played around with Daydream. But it was announced at I/O built on the Android M platform. We're currently working with our first partners to prepare this for launch, and we do intend to make this available for you guys as soon as possible. I mean, our goal with VR and with Daydream is to make it as accessible to as many people as possible. And in many respects, it builds on the work that we've done around Cardboard. I mean, Cardboard, I think, has brought VR to over 5 million people, and we've had over 50 million installs of Cardboard apps. So that's a great start, and that's a great foundation to build on for the Daydream team. But what they've done is they've gone on to a whole new level of bringing the software together with the hardware to create a premium VR experience. And that means working very closely with a whole host of Android manufacturers, with hardware manufacturers, around upcoming phones and sharing designs for the VR viewer product, and also the controller that makes it such an immersive and exciting experience. But that's not going to work without your apps. This is just a screen grab of what the Play Store will look like in virtual reality. We're kind of creating this welcoming space where people can hang out and explore. The top row is something called Discovery Windows, where you will be able to promote your best content, and users can preview the experience in VR. And next, I'd like to just show you a very quick video of how developers will be able to use the controller, which is actually incredible for this as well. Oh. It's that controller that I personally, and I think a lot of people are incredibly excited about. I mean, the potential, you can turn it, to a tennis racket, a whisk. You saw the pancake. I've done the pancake flipping. I'm really good at it, actually, as it happens. But you can just play around it, move around it in lots of different ways. Rob was laughing at that gag. We got the same terrible sense of humor. You know, when you start to see this thing, your mind's gonna be open to a whole load of opportunities you can do around VR and around your gameplay that will literally transform the experience for users of your products and your IP. And it's not just about game developers. We have a lot of content owners here today. One of the best experiences I've seen is I've watched a 3D movie in a 3D cinema on the VR headset. I mean, immediately I'm thinking anyone on a plane is going to have one of these things on because it's so much better. You literally feel like you're watching something at IMAX experience, and it's incredible for such a you know, putting a headset on, having that experience, and turning around and seeing people next to you, or having the cinema on your own, is really cool. And companies like Wall Street Journal, HBO, Netflix, NBA have all committed to adding VR to the platform. So content is really important when you're bringing a new technology to market. So that's it. That's it. That's the future of Google Play. I'm out of time. I'm cutting. I'm going. People, do you want to carry on a little bit longer? No? I'm going to really annoy you. I talked about feedback. I talked about having fun. Get in the ring. I mean, seeing as it's such a cool day today and the temperature's not too high, we've got some really thick sumo outfits that you can go and put on, and just to raise your temperature a little bit more. I'd suggest you challenge your BD manager to sumo fight this afternoon, usually maybe after a couple of mojitos or something. Lily's going to challenge me to a fight in a second. There's a feedback form you have. If you fill in that form, you can get stamps for it. Doing the activities today, you'll get a little surprise. Just to manage expectations, it's a little surprise. It's not like a VR headset or a car or anything like that. Well, maybe there's a prize there, I don't know. Yeah, please fill in. Please enjoy the day. It's great to have so many of you here. It's great to get Playtime back. It's great that the team has done such an amazing job with the venue again. So please enjoy it. I'd love to talk to as many of you as possible today. And thank you very much for coming. Thanks.